When playing CT side of Mirage, it's hard to know what to do. Will you push mid, hold for connector, or rotate? Well, what if you can do all three? Today I will be breaking down how Donk, the 16-year-old superstar, plays Mirage CT side. Donk usually plays towards stairs and connector and middle, and that makes you the person to rotate first. And I wanted to start by showing you all how he's rotating, with utility usage and positioning, as well as what he do when he rotates. Donk starts by taking mid control with a good spawn, and then jumping out of window and nading top mid. This is done to first of all do some damage on the player's top middle, so if an AK swings you, you can get the one tap kill and lower your chance of losing the aim duel. But it is as well a way of giving him early understanding where the enemy are, since nades give you a sound cue when you hit a player. But after the T's Molotov con and he smokes it off, he has no utility left and opts to go back to con. And now let's focus on his team. There are no players on B and only has one player on short to stop the execute. And this is the perfect time for him to rotate since A is under lock. They've cleared out middle, so B is the only option for the T side of where to go. And here he starts by going to market, since this will be the first point of contact, and to stop the B execute. But here, by looking at the map, 9 is already out on site and has smoked off everything. And Donk knows he will be useless behind a smoke in market, so he switches his routing to joining up the short player. And here he jumps this way and not the other way out, just because it's safer, and if you miss you can go for one more try, before having to go around. And here he starts by holding above the smoke thrown by the T's to apps, and then spams back in the smoke to find the first kill. In this round, Donk gets to take even more control top middle and clears out underground. And this is crucial information for his team. Usually when Donk peeks middle, he has one player with him, who he is usually open to support. And we can see after Donk clears out middle, the hopper starts to rotate, since there's no point of having two middle players if there are no T's here. Then when Donk falls the window after a player dies, he can get one kill, and then he realizes he needs to gamble on what site the T's will take, since he lost middle. And I will ask you then, what side do you go to in the 4v3? Do you go A, where you only have one player, or do you go to B to help where you have two players? Well, most would go A, but A with a man up is quite easy to retake, while B is much harder. And Donk makes the decision on the fly and goes to market to hold apps and behind for a player lurking. And this just shows you how well he understands his role in that position when he rotates, and the impact if he rotates wrong can have. Well, we saw Donk in middle when he was about to rotate, so I wanted to really deep dive how he plays middle and why he takes it so early. Middle in Mirage controls the game, no matter if you're CT or T. It helps the T finds opening kills, side takes and just map control, while the CTs it's more important about safety of having mid and then the information you get. So I wanted to show you all the different ways Donk takes middle. If Donk has the best one, you will see him jumping out of the window and nade top middle. And we talked about this in the previous section, but it's what he does after that's so fascinating. In this round it seemed like he wanted to push top middle, but here stops himself. But why? Well, there are many reasons for this. Spirit when taking middle always has Donk jumping out of window to be aggressive player, and then having a player in window either having a scout, M4 or O that can either take the attention or trade. And in this round he is smoked off, and we can see that happen. As soon as the smoke falls and blooms, we see Donk back off right away, and here his nade did not hit any players. And in the Donk playbook, he will then push middle, but when the smoke falls in window, he knows if he dies he can't be traded. So he falls back to connector to be safe and wait for the short player to come, and then he smokes here, and this smoke is to allow him to walk out of connector to get to bench to look over the smoke or peek underground to try and find that kill. And here he fails the smoke, but that doesn't matter too much since you already have a player on catwalk that can hold in case somebody swings the little corner and opening he made. But how does an aggressive Donk push in middle look? Well, in this game, he wants to take an aggressive mid push, and here he knows that if he just runs up and nades top middle, he will stop the enemy team in pushing, so he wants to be unpredictable. So here, with a full set of utility and best spawn, jumps out of window and then plays alongside of this wall. This is done since the player swinging in middle will have to clear window, bench and connector before they will be able to peek you in middle. And around when they are clearing all of the mentioned spots, you will be able to catch them off guard. Then he runs up with the anti-flash in mid as he looks to the left every time he hears a flashbang being thrown. And him looking left will make sure he cannot be blinded by his teammate flashes from middle as well if they are throwing to help him. As soon as he enters territories that the T's can peek him, he goes from being this super aggressive mid rusher to a more laid back, careful player to clear out with proper jiggle peeking, since he knows that the T's will not throw more flashes. And here he's rewarded with finding an opening kill. But what you might not see is how his teammate allows him to do this, with Artfrost jumping down to kill the player running lower or underground, and the only B player coming catwalk from short to help him kill the player trying to trade the first kill Donk got. And there you go, Spirit has top mid control. So how do Donk use this control? By going top mid behind the boxes, since this will free up the catwalk and bottom mid player to go B and A to hold, and Spirit has gotten full mid control. Here we are seeing Donk not have the best monte middle, so then it's a different route he will take. He goes from A site, and here he starts by multiing ramp and then nading it in the open, since the spread of the fire blocks the T's vision from ramp to see Donk in this position. And if you force the AWP to stay in this position in ramp and holding and looking for a player, a nade will be more effective. And then he just walks out middle, no utility from his part, and why? Well, Donk always has a player in window, and here he will be holding top middle, and Donk can go back to switching between underground and top middle. And something I love with Donk is that how unpredictable he is, not using utility to peak angles, but relies on his aim instead. And here on top mid we can see why. The player window is lacking and one player can cross middle, and Donk with such a clean one-tap deletes him off the server. And with no flashes used, Donk understands this might be the only player mid, and he just goes back to the boxes to take control of it, so his team do not have to worry about mid anymore. And then he decides why not keep pushing, it's a 3v2, and this is what I call high risk, high reward. Where yes, Spirit are a man up, but Donk puts himself in a position where he cannot be traded back, but the information he will get is priceless. And here he finds both players, being able to kill one and locate the last player with 25 seconds left, well worth the push. Last middle round I want to talk about is this one that starts normal with Donk jumping out of window, but here we will see how he uses his utility, other than just the nade, and then smoking underground, but he holds the smoke out first and waits. And this I would assume is the case, where he thinks he might be Molotov or the T's are flashing underground, so he does not want to smoke them off since he would rather take the fights. Then after the Molotov stops burning in con, he goes to clear top middle with a nade on the left side, and then holds and clears right side top middle completely before turning his attention underground. And here he Molotovs to peek behind it, but sadly there are two players waiting for him and kills him. Last proper precision Donk play is stairs and connector on Mirage, and this makes sense, since after he takes middle, he will just go and start to hold off stairs and A sites. After Donk wins the mid control his teammate needs, he get the call that on A, the T's might be coming. As we can see, Spirit have no players in CT. So how does he help out? Well, he goes to connector and throws this flash here. This is what I would call a bad flash, but it flashes every T wanting to enter site. With ramp, Tetris and Palace will be blinded if they don't turn. The reason I call this flash bad is because it's easy to dodge. Then he slowly clears out with jiggle peeks from connector just to be safe, and he places himself in this position in an off angle. Donk loves switching between middle and stairs, something even some of the best players can struggle with. So let's see how he does it so effortlessly. He starts by smoking middle and then going top stairs to help his A-side player. Then before the smoke fades in middle, that Donk threw, he switches now that the short player can come catwalk, and then he goes to clear underground using the smoke he threw to be allowed to go down freely, while the catwalk player has top middle and the AWP can hold on A. And after that he will just run around and switch to be active and make sure he will be ready. So he will go under stairs to play, then he cannot hear anything, so he will fall back to middle again and vice versa. And then when the catwalk player leaves, Donk goes into con to just hold middle. And here I need to talk about how close Donk plays with his AWPer. If Donk takes middle, he has the AWP behind him in window. And in this round, the AWP joins Donk in middle, and then in con, and then out of con, and then back to stairs. And this is done so they can always trade each other and use the AWP as a bait, since if the AWP runs out and kills one player, the trader will only expect the AWP player and swing him, and Donk can trade back. Then I wanted to end by showing how Donk plays some odd positions out of his main position and roles, Niveni. Spirit are on pistols, and rather than Donk playing a weird off angle in the middle or something, he opts to play under Palace and here becomes the support player, rather than the aggressive player we have seen so far. And here he plays under Palace with a smoke, ready to either smoke off ramp if the side player calls for it, or smoke off Palace if the player calls for it. After smoking it, he plays top Palace to be able to trade his teammate. While in this round, Spirit is on the same setup, but now Donk is a side player trying to jiggle for Palace and ramp. And we know he's an expert of juggling positions, but it's easy to be caught off guard here, and probably why Spirit are now two players Palace, and just keeps on jiggling this. Here Donk starts by Molotoving ramp, and then instead of going middle, he is going to default site to go to Palace. And here shifts walk so a ramp or Palace player can't hear him, and then does this weird way of getting up the ladder for Palace. And this is done by tapping A and W, or W and D, so he can quickly get up the ladder without making noise. Then he plays in the corner of Palace, so he only need to worry about the Palace entry point, while he has a CT player holding off the ramp push. As soon as the T's are taken middle, Donk walks down since there's a little bit safer to play under Palace if Spirit were to lose mid control, and then he just chills under here, clearing ramp and other spots while staying. and I like that from an aggressive player, we can still see him handling these slower roles quite well. Thank you for watching, and here are 2 videos YouTube told me you would like. Bye.